Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Welcome back to Importing Done Right. I'm your host, Brendan Elias. And today what we're going to cover is how to find the right manufacturers who make quality goods. So understand that when you're buying products from a manufacturer from places such as China, that you can find the right manufacturers, but you can also find the wrong manufacturers. And even if you find the right manufacturers, you have to follow a process to make sure that the manufacturer who you choose, who's capable of producing high quality goods, will do a good job. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So there are two ways to do it that we're going to cover. The first way is how to do it using a sourcing agent, which is a person who can help you find the goods, negotiate for you, and get you a good price. But also, if you don't want to use a sourcing agent, how to do it yourself. So we'll go through those today, how to use a sourcing agent, and also how to go through the process of importing yourself and getting the right manufacturer and the right quality goods. So how to find a supplier using a sourcing agent. So what is a sourcing agent? Well, sourcing agent is someone who understands importing business better than you do, someone who's done it for a while. I started off just as an importer, and after many years, at least a decade in the business, I ended up sourcing for other people, including students of mine. Also, understand that an agent is there to find the product and buy the product for you. They'll typically charge a commission on the buy price of 10 to 20%, but what they'll do is often negotiate better than you can. So that will be negated. They'll find sources of products. They'll help you find manufacturers. You can find agents in places like Hong Kong and Shanghai. If you want more information about me and how we could help, you can go to BRiN.ai/experts. But the reason why you would get an agent, firstly, is the concept of core competencies. You see, what you should be doing if you're an importer, you should be focusing on figuring out what products you want to bring in. You should be focusing on marketing it, whether it's your Amazon listing, your eBay listing, whether you're buying traffic from Facebook, YouTube, Google, Instagram, Pinterest, to your landing page, which might be a Shopify store. That's where your energy should be going, right? To selling the product and moving the product, not sourcing it. And if you, whatever you might save in 10, 20%, paying a sourcing agent, you could lose 100 customers that would there to buy your product. So that's why you would often use a sourcing agent. So bamboo flooring, let's say we were purchasing this item, and that's a case study. So how would it work? So let's say I had a customer, they came and they'd been working with our China office for years, and they thought, you know what, we could go and run around and do it ourselves, but we like using a sourcing agent because they're more efficient, they know how to negotiate, they know how to ship it, they know how to make sure that if anything goes wrong after the sale, when you buy it, they can do it as well. So that would be often one of the massive benefits of using a sourcing agent. So how does it start? Well, the way it would start is that you are in the inquiry stage, where as a sourcing agent, I would say, okay, what do you want? And we have a product here that we could use an example, right? So we are in the case here, we would want a map of the world, right? That spins around a globe of the world that spins around a brass metal holder, right? How many do we want? We want 10,000 pieces, right? That would be an example of a product. Now let's say that we were looking at, say, bamboo flooring, which is a product that's that's used around the world. It's environmentally friendly. So say you're the client, you come to me as a sourcing agent, and here is the company. Your name is ABC Company, right? And it's a proprietary limited company. You're looking for bamboo flooring. What you want is a light product that's durable, and you say to me, I want a unit of 50 meters squared. If we're using the metric and imperial system, it would be feet, but this is just an example. Now, what happens next is that the client, the factory, come back, right? And the factory say, hey, look, we could do it, but unfortunately, instead of it being 50, we'll need, say, 500 meters squared. So the client says, well, look, can we, instead of getting 500, do 50, which is a lower MOQ, or minimum order quantity. Also, the pictures that we sent the client, they want to verify they're real. And then sometimes the customer will say, look, I'm happy to pay more per unit if I can get a lower MOQ or minimum order quantity. Right? So the factory come back, and the factory say, yes, we can do it for you on FOB terms, which means free on board, and we'll pack it in double boxing. So that's done. Everyone's happy, the customer, the factory. You make an agreement with your factory, which is essentially a pro forma invoice between the agent and the factory. Here's an example of what it might look like, right? Which has all of the different things. It's like, 49.5 meters squared, this many tons, right? That information. And then it would be time to inspect the goods. Now, what happens in the inspection process is, as an agent, I may find that the goods themselves may not be properly polished. So what do? We negotiate with the factory. We get a better price from the factory if they made a mistake and they don't want to fix it, or, as often happens, we fix the error and pay the price that we're supposed to pay in the first place. So the goods get repolished and we send the difference to the factory, and that's it, right? That's done. The factory are looked after, the customer had the goods, solved, right? And that's how it's done using an agent. Now, the other way of doing it is if you don't want someone to handle this for you and you want to get someone else out of the process, but say, for example, that you like going through the process yourself, you want to learn the process yourself and maybe delegate it one day to an agent, then you would learn how to do it yourself. So how do you do it yourself? Well, the first thing that you need to do is you need to approach your supplier. And your supplier could be on a place like Amazon. Sorry, your supplier, you'd sell on Amazon. Your supplier may be on a place like Alibaba. It may be on a website like Global Sources. It may be in a website like Made in China. That's where you do it. And what you want to ask is three things of your potential supplier. The first thing that you'd want to ask your supplier is, where is their market experience? The second thing you would ask them is, what are the specifications of your product? What are you looking? And the third thing you want to talk about is the quantity of the product. So these are the three things you want to ask and find out. So let's go through them one by one. So market. So in terms of the market, it's very important that you're clear on the market that you're looking for. So let's take an example of the pocket bike, which you might have seen from my other BRiN.ai/expert videos. If you want to have a look at those, go and check them out. And in those videos, I give the example of the pocket bike. Now, in the pocket bike, I had a high end and a middle end, right? So you need to be very clear on what it is you want. Do you want it to be the highest end where you pay a higher price and you're searching for a premium customer? Or are you happy with just a passable, acceptable quality for a product that the customer will be happy with, but the product that the customer won't be using for 5, 10, 15 years, that maybe they use for 6 to 12 months until it fulfills their purpose, and maybe you can save on a bit of the margin. But the most important thing is that if you are sourcing yourself and not using an agent, that you are very clear with what you want, and that you are clear to the point of stupidity. And this is very important, that when you're dealing with Chinese factories, for example, if that's your supplier, their first language isn't English. It's most likely Mandarin, right? Or if they're in a local province like Guangzhou, then it would be Cantonese, right? Or Shanghainese if they're in the East Coast near Shanghai. So understand that there are local dialects. So they will not be speaking English as their first language of choice. So if that's the case, then you need to make sure that in your agreement with the factory, you cover every detail. So if we say, I want 1,000 glasses, well, is that enough? Well, no. What are all the things that make this useful? If you're watching this on a video now, I want you to pause it. I want you to get a paper and I want you to come up with 5 to 10 things that would describe this glass to the point of stupidity. Okay? Write it down. Do that now. Okay, so now if you're back, or if you've just been cheeky and played it without pausing, because that's how you consume information, that's okay, but shame on you. You have a glass. Now, firstly, what is the thickness of the glass would be one of the specifications. What is the width of the base? What is the circumference? What is the diameter of the base? And what is the height? So the dimensions of the glass would be one specification which would be very, very important. The other thing would be the capacity. Is this 250 mils? Is it 3?
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.